Well, how's it going? This is the video I promised you guys, detailing the trip up to my cabin for the winter. Every fall I make one big push of gasoline and supplies to get me through freeze-up. Now, those of you who have never seen my videos or anything like that, I live in Alaska, I live off the road system, and I spend most of my year up at my homestead. In the fall, I make a freight run of supplies that will get me through freeze-up. And if you don't know what freeze-up is that period of time. It's basically fall, late fall, and early winter, where you transition from everything being brown to everything being white. And the rivers freeze and the lakes freeze. That period of time when there's no fish in the river, so there are no boats on the river. Planes don't fly because on lakes because there's either not enough ice for skis or too much slush for floats, that kind of thing. So living in rural Alaska, you're fairly isolated for a period of time. So in the fall, I take a boat run up carrying supplies that'll get me through that freeze-up period until I can start traveling again by snowmobile. And that's what this video is about, is that final push up with gasoline and dog food and stuff like that. So with no further ado, let's get to the video. I will be cutting in from time to time just to make clarifications and stuff like that for people that are unfamiliar with the process. But this is something that every homesteader does in Alaska. It's just a ritual. It's what you do. It's kind of grinding, but it's also kind of like leaving town is like the last day of school kind of thing. You know, it's just like you look forward to it. You know there's a lot of work ahead of you for 3 or 4 days, or however long it takes a particular homesteader to get his gear off, either off the lake or off the river or whatever. But it's kind of grueling, but at the same time it marks your freedom for the year. So let's get on with the video. I hope you enjoy it. It didn't go anything like I had planned. Saying I was going to make the video kind of put a karma on it, I guess you would say. Not a bad karma, but just a karma. But I'll learn the lesson in not offering too much in a video, because it got a little bit more than what I was used to, actually. But anyway, let's hit the video. The promised freight run. Fortunately, it's raining out, as you can see. It was sunny out for 2 weeks, and now we get this. So here we got food and fuel. Actually not food. That's just fuel. Actually, there's food there in the cooler. That's one part of it. 30 gallons of gasoline, some propane. I had to downsize a little bit on the propane. There is the freight trailer I just bought. There's my dog. There's my other dog. And here's the rest of the freight run. We have dog food. We have pails, we have all sorts of cardboard boxes and milk crates and duffel bags. Actually, some of it is already on the way upriver on the first boat run. And there we have it. What a mess, huh? It'll all get up there though, eventually. You missed the packing of the boat. That's because it's raining outside and I didn't want to set up a tripod. But as you can see, the boat is, oh my god, is loaded. And there's Rhett tying down the new freight trailer. There's the cockpit. And we'll be on our way momentarily. Good. Hope so. Yay, here we go. Alright, here we go. Off we go. You're almost going as fast as Jeff. am here, and again I didn't shoot any of the footage of offloading because of the rain, but I'm going to take a minute here to let you know that my four-wheeler is non-functional. It won't start, dead battery. So I got a lot of stuff. This isn't all mine, but a lot of it is, and got a bit of a quandary. I guess I have to move it into shelter and, I don't know, go home and get the other wheeler. Yippee. Yippee skippy. Well, I guess you're getting your dollar's worth. River, hill, gear. Got to shuttle everything over, and then I'm going to try to work on getting the four-wheeler started again, but I'm not going to do it till I'm actually ready to boogie on up hill. So I'm pretty tuckered out, actually. I didn't realize my loads were getting so much bigger. They're supposed to be getting smaller, not bigger. But anyway, I'm going to start working on that pile. And stay tuned. It's only going to get better. As I've been going through those video clips, putting together these videos to post online, there are some things that I'm going to have to clear up as far as context and stuff like that. So that's what this little clip we're making right now is doing. I realized that in the chaos of making my freight run up here for freeze up, that I did some things that made sense to me, but if you're watching it, you know, you think, oh, that's cool, but you really don't know what's going on. So in the clip you just watched, where I'm panning from my four-wheeler up to the hill and over to the little tarp where my gear is, that really probably doesn't make a lot of sense to you. So I'm going to go through and explain that. So if you just want to maybe zip back here in a minute and take a look at that, we started out kind of looking at my four-wheeler. That's not where my four-wheeler stays. It stays up on the hill away from the river, because that river can come up and wash things away. It does that on people quite a bit. You just have to get your stuff up off the hill, out of basically the floodplain. That little area is only about 5 feet up off where the river normally is, and that can raise up and take stuff out of there, you know, pretty easily, and it has. You just don't know what that river's going to do from one minute to the next. So I don't keep my four-wheeler down there, and I didn't want to keep my food down there either in the open. So my four-wheeler, I got that started with the Kickstarter. That's the one thing I hate about Hondas, is those Kickstarters. They don't work well at all, but I got it started, got it down to where my gear was, and it puttered and died. You'll find out as you look forward in the video. Well, when I panned over to the left, there's a trail leading up a hill. On the other side of that hill, about maybe, I don't know, 75, 80 yards, maybe a little bit better away, I've never measured it, up over that hill is a little shed. I figured my gear would be better off inside that shed with a door on it. Oh, my dog found something to bark at. Since I couldn't use the four-wheeler, I had to carry it all over there by hand. Well, that took hours to do that, and I was pretty exhausted by the time that happened. So all that gear that was laying down there underneath that little tarp had to move up to that shed, and that's what I was in the process of doing when I made this previous clip there. That's what I was doing. I got done with that, sealed everything up, and that's when I started the journey on foot up to the cabin. So I hope that clarifies things for you. If not, just comment and say, what the heck are you talking about? And I'll try to make it more clear. But that's what I was doing. And like I said, I'll be jumping in again. So just keep on watching. I tried to start the four-wheeler and it would not start. Par for the course. And my memory card and my camera is toast. It's all used up. So we are walking home with what I can carry, necessary items, and some things I didn't want to leave down here, like my trapping lure. That's just too much of a scent to leave laying around where there's a bunch of, you know, stuff I need, like food. So me and the kids are heading out. I don't know how much filming I'm going to be doing, because this is pretty rough walking, and my pack is pretty heavy, actually. Didn't want it this heavy, but things I need to get into the cabin, like the drill and that kind of thing. So we're just gonna plod along, and I'll shoot a clip here and there. Did lighten up in the rain. It's just barely a sprinkle now, but I was, pretty well soaked by about 10 this morning, just waiting for the boat to come back to the landing to pick us up. So with that, I'll let you go. I'm about to approach son of a bitch hill here, and I'm going to need all my concentration because it's going to be slickery with all this rain. So I'll see you in a bit. I hate these hills. Walking them anyway. Well, this piece of tin that Jeff dropped. 1/10 of the way up. Oh Lord. Less than, well, about a mile, I'm going to say, to go. It's a pretty straight shot from here. So, that's just an update. I had to go around the big swamp. We'll try these little swamps and see what happens. Anyway, I'm still at her. I don't know what time it is. But, anyway, I'll be back with you. Well, those last 3 clips were of the walk up. I didn't shoot too much more than that because it was just too uncomfortable. It was wet. It would pour down on me, then let up. I was absolutely soaked and miserable. My pack was very uncomfortable. I finally get into the yard about 7:30, but that doesn't mean the trip was over. I had to get into the cabin. I had to take down the bare boards off the windows and the doors. Once I get the door open, there's so much stuff in the cabin that you really can't exist. A lot of stuff has to be brought out. I brought out as much as I could. I got a fire going. Then I had to change clothes. Well, most of my clothes were down at the landing. I take them out in the spring and get them washed up. I do have miscellaneous things, sweatshirts and stuff like that up here. Going up into the loft, I realized that somewhere along the line my roof started to leak. But now we had a lot of rain in August, and I don't know exactly what happened, but something backed up somewhere, and my loft got soaked. So all of my sleeping bags and my backup bedding, primarily, was all wet. I couldn't use it. It was moldy, mildew. It was horrible. The water even dripped off of the loft onto my bunk, so what I had on my bunk was also wet. But anyway, I wrung out my clothes, hung them up, fired up the generator, found some sweats and stuff like that to put on. Like I said, I fired up the generator to charge the ATV batteries, because the next morning I was going to have to go back down to the river and start all over. It was quite an ordeal that day, especially when I get home and find out that everything I had up here to keep me warm and dry was wet. But I did keep the fire going all night. It still wasn't enough to dry my clothes off. They were so drenched with water. I mean, I was soaked to the skin. I had to pour water out of my boots and wring out everything. But I got through the night okay. Batteries were charged up. I felt much better the next morning. I was one drug out individual when I got up here and got everything taken care of. But sorry, the gnats are coming out again. Well, let's go back and watch some more clips of the next morning on my first return trip down to the river. So just keep on viewing. I don't know if you can see. This is day 2. Ended up having to walk home with a pack on my back with enough stuff to get into the cabin and eat some dinner. Now we're heading back down. Sorry, my walking poles are getting caught in the brush. But heading back down the river with a good battery. I charged up the other ATV battery. I'll haul that down. Lord. Rough country. The root structure is what makes it so tough on these trails. when you drive them over and over and again, you know, over years, that all the roots run parallel with the ground. They just pop out and make walking really difficult, and even driving an ATV very challenging. And they don't get better, they just get worse and worse. We got to do some serious trail maintenance here this year. I can see the chainsaw being used for sure, but we're about a third of the way to the river. Much better day today. I can actually see some blue sky. I built a fire last night about, well, by the time I got enough junk out of the cabin to maneuver, it was about 8 o'clock, and kept the fire going good all night. And my clothes still aren't dry. Even after wringing them out, I was absolutely drenched through. I had to wring my clothes out. I was literally rained on, quite literally, from about 8:30, quarter to 9 in the morning, and well, 12 hours of being just absolutely soaked. So anyway, we're closing in on the downhill slide. Literally, I'm going downhill. Did I say literally? I say literally too much. Officially, we will be going downhill. And I promise not to use that word again, ever. I can edit this though, so you'd never know. We're about halfway, not quite halfway, down to the river. And we get around this swamp. I'm actually on a trail around, going around the swamp. I don't go through swamps with my ATV, because it's just, I would rather have the trip take 5-10 minutes extra going around a swamp than, you know, 20 minutes to an hour, maybe more, getting unstuck. That may be weird, but that's just my way of thinking. And this trail needs a lot of work. Man, it's gone downhill so bad. It's really rough, especially right through here. Hold on, my walking stick is hung up on a tree. I can't use my walking sticks and the camera at the same time, so. But I'll get with you. Well, I thought I'd give you an update. I did get down to the river this morning and fired up the four-wheeler Nelly Bell after I put the fresh battery in her. You can see the old battery sitting there on the rack there. However, I was not able to make it up that hill, which shouldn't be all that daunting, but it's just too slick. I'd have no traction. If it were dry out, I wouldn't have too much of a problem, but I just can't make her up there with this today. Okay, shortly after this last clip, my neighbor showed up, and we were able to get my trailer up to the top of the big hill successfully. So that was a load off my mind, because I would rather make, you know, 4 trips rather than 40 trips, just using my racks, gasoline and all that other stuff. So what I end up doing is the standard procedure is to make shuttle runs from the landing down at the river up to the top of the big hill, which is the last significant elevation gain. Everything after that is pretty well level, except for swamps and stuff like that. I don't have any hills to go up really. So I made 3 shuttle runs, I suppose, just using the racks of my machine to go up to the trailer, load the trailer up, secured everything down, and headed on home. So that's what you're going to be seeing as we look forward. So keep on watching. Where I'm just running through the woods, I'll do an audio thing for it, but got some stuff in there. Actually got quite a lot of stuff, so I'm going to go through it, and we're going to shuttle a load up to that little trailer and go get another load and go home and try it again tomorrow. Fun, fun, fun. It was a good blueberry year up here, it looks like. On the way back home, it passes through a little blueberry patch, and I'm going to have to come back here in the next day or two. I'm going to be making another run tomorrow, I guess, so I won't get it all done today, but definitely bring a little bucket along and harvest some of these. Damn it! Oh well. Shit. Yeah, I swore. You break the rules, you pay the price, right? Fortunately, I think I can break that up with my hands and get that out of there. It's pretty rotten, but it's not gonna make my day any easier, but that's okay. You should never go anywhere up here without a chainsaw if you haven't been here in a while, because anything can happen. So lots of trees can come down on trails. So I'm gonna take care of this bad boy. There, I was able to roll it out of the way, no biggie. But still, you should always keep that chainsaw with you on your first couple runs. This is a trail around the swamp, those little swamps, and I only use these maybe twice a year. So, excuse me, I'm out of breath a little bit. But when you first get back up here, you should really keep a chainsaw with you. It just makes life easier. But I broke the rule. Shame on me. Off we go. Well, that little muck hole stopped me. What I did is I took all that stuff out of that thing, and I was able to put it in reverse and rock it back and forth until actually what happened is I got high centered because I got kind of thrown off course by a deadfall that's in there. I don't know if that deadfall is visible. I'll check it later. But now I get to reload all that stuff up. We're only about a half mile from home, and got to zip back into the woods here quick and get out of these swamps. Man, brutal, but fun. Well, 100 feet later, not 100 feet, 100 yards maybe, and got stopped again, and now I have to unload again. I put this little bypass in around another area that's really gone to pieces, and this has also gone to pieces. I could have swore I filled in a bunch of holes on this little bypass here, and I could have swore I threw some in here, but it ain't there now. It almost sunk the wheeler. I got through that, but there ain't no way that tire's climbing over that. So off we load again. Man, this is awesome. How about that? My battery died. Doesn't it figure? Anyway, you didn't miss anything. The rest of the trip, that last half mile was uneventful. It was level ground and just pulled into the yard and big whoop-de-doo. I thought about going back and reshooting some of that last part, but doggone it, I was tired. So anyway, that's it. That's what I go through, more or less. Generally, it's a little bit easier than that. Actually, sometimes it's a lot easier than that, but I guess I just karmed myself right into a disaster by inviting you along. So I blame you for coming along. So, but that's okay, I'll get over it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Got a little bit of a kick out of it, maybe at my expense. So if you'd please go down and leave a comment, tell me what you think of the operation. Was that something you'd like to do? Probably not, but I'd like to hear your views on it anyway. Please subscribe, join the club. Hit that little button down underneath this video, actually on this video, down that little icon down in the lower, as you're looking at right hand corner, I think. I forget where they put it. Just look for the little icon down there and join the club. Next time I get a video up, which will be very soon, there'll be more adventures of me making a fool out of myself in the great outdoors. But anyway, like I said, please subscribe, like, comment, leave me a note, get a discussion going with each other, and just say, man, that's just nuts, I could never do that, or it sounds really, really cool. Just let me know. Anyway, I gotta go. I got a lot of stuff to do. I gotta do laundry and put more video clips together and all sorts of other mountain man stuff. So I'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming along.